Good afternoon, everybody. This is Chattin with CHAP. I'm your host, Ginger Wade, and we are here to talk about how to start a co-op. Now, I apologize because it's not 11 o'clock. And I emailed someone this morning and told them I would be on at 11 o'clock, and then life happened to me this morning. So I'm here. I think it's around 12:30 or something like that. And I am all yours now. And you know what? I'm even going to turn off my notifications so I don't get distracted. Okay, there we go. Now I'm all ready to go. So maybe you were on with me last week when I got to talk with Heather Vogler from Schoolhouse Teachers. I have my little banner up back here if you want more information about that. And I wanted to bring up the unsworn declaration because I saw on some of our posts we were reminding people what needs to be in when and handing in your paperwork, and we mentioned the unsworn declaration, and some folks were wondering what that was. So if you check out episode 164, it's an interview with Alicia Hunt who walks me through what an unsworn declaration is and how you use it. And we do have one out at homeschoolpennsylvania.org if you would prefer to use that instead of an affidavit this year. So there you go. There's your little bit of information on that. So co-ops. Let's talk about co-ops and support groups. We do have a search for the co-ops and support groups that are throughout the state on chaponline.com on the resources page. It's listed by county, and these are not, this is not an exhaustive list. It is the list of the people who have reached out to us to let us know that they exist. So if you know of other support groups and co-ops that exist, please have them reach out to us and get listed on our list so people can find you. But let's talk a little bit about support groups and co-ops and the difference. So from my experience, a support group is a group of ladies that gets together to encourage each other. Their kids may play together. They may do field trips. They may have speakers come to their meetings and give them encouraging speeches about homeschool related things that will be helpful to them in their journeys. I'm pretty sure that the group Salt and Light up in the Northeast area is this type of group. And it's wonderful and it's huge. So that is a support group style meetup. The ones that I am most familiar with that I have participated in are co-ops. And a co-op is short for cooperative, meaning that you're cooperating to provide educational experiences to your children. So it could be that moms are teaching. It could be that you're hiring teachers. But at any rate, it is a space where you're going to have classes, not necessarily mom time meetups or field trip planning, although that could be part of what you do. That's not the main focus. The main focus of a co-op is to provide a class. And these could range from enrichment, which would be like music and art and drama and gym class and a missionaries class or some kind of a ministry opportunity. It could range from that to, there's a co-op near us that's pretty much like a school. I mean, like 3 periods in the morning and lunch and 3 periods in the afternoon. I heard once that they actually use a bell to switch classes. I do not know if they actually do that or not. So that is very much like a school. So there is a wide range of ways to run a co-op that is up to the people who are running it. So, and since COVID, we've heard a lot about pods, and I'm not 100% knowledgeable on pods, but from what I've heard, it's like groups of families in neighborhoods, and they might bring a teacher in to teach a class. Now, to me, that's like a mini co-op. It's not like a support group if they're teaching a class, although it could be just a family meetup, and they happen to have someone come in who wants to teach a class. I would probably put that under the co-op label, not so much the support group label, but that's what I understand. If you know more about pods and you want to share in the comments below or write into me, I would love to hear it. So let's move forward with how do you start a group. So first of all, obviously you're going to pray over it. You know, I have this desire in my heart. I want to start a group. What is this going to look like? You know, how do you want me to move forward? You know, asking God for guidance on that. So you have to decide if you're looking for a support group setup or a co-op setup. Now, I'm going to focus today on the co-op setup because that is what I know. I've been a steering leader on a co-op. I've been part of a co-op for 17 years, a long time. So I know about co-ops. So again, this might not be how a support group runs. This is how a co-op runs, or how you could run a co-op. So you want to decide how formal you want your setup to be. Okay, so a co-op could look like a support group where it's as easy as moms getting together as a park, at a park. You could do a class at a park. You could do a class at each other's house. You could do a class, wherever it is you take a field trip together. And that kind of looks a little bit more like a support group. And that type of thing, you're just, you don't have to have a set schedule. You don't have to have a set class that you're doing. You're just, hey, let's get together and learn this thing together. It could be like a unit study feel or something like that. The other type is more of a academic thinking co-op, where you're meeting at a regular location at a regular time. You have regular classes scheduled, and you're planning on covering a certain amount or a certain type of curriculum or material. So obviously there's a lot of back and forth there on your flexibility and your freedom to meet or not meet, depending on who's healthy and who's not. So it's all these things to take in consideration when you're thinking of starting a group. It can be something that's just you and your friends, or you and your neighbors, or you and your family. It's just an intimate group of people. You're working together to figure out what you want to do, decide on activities. Or if it's something where you want to service the community around you, you see that there's a lot of people starting to homeschool in your community. You're like, wow, I really want to support people. I would like to get together with others to learn, my kids to learn different things. I know other people have other gifts than I have. So let's all get together and do this thing. Well, that's more like a co-op, a community thing, where you are planning out what you're going to be doing. Now, in that instance, it's really best to have a leadership team. Our co-op calls it a steering team. So my sister-in-law's co-op, they actually have like a president and a vice president and a secretary and a treasurer and those types of things, along with other committee heads. So that sounds more like a board, or an organization like that. Ours is just called a steering team. We have equal jobs. It's equal. There's like no president. We work together on an equal level. Everyone has different responsibilities. So again, these things can be set up in so many different ways. I know there's co-ops, big co-ops with lots of classes that are run by one or maybe two women, which is a lot. It's a lot for someone to take all that on. But if that is your heart and that's what God has put before you, He'll give you the strength to do it. So and that's why the praying is so important. So you know what it is that you're looking to do. You know how you're going to start things. The co-op that I've been involved with has been around for 25 years. It's long-standing co-op. Has gone through many different iterations of steering team. It's not always been the same people. Obviously, the people who started it aren't even homeschooling anymore because their kids are adults. And actually, in some cases, their children are coming back with children to co-op. So it has changed a lot, and some of the things that we have set up has changed over the years too. So as you're looking at the type of group that you want to set up, you have to decide, is it going to be decidedly Christian, where you have to sign a statement of faith, you have to agree to a statement of faith, everything will be taught from that biblical worldview? Are you going to be a secular group where you're not going to bring discussion of religion into anything? Or are you going to be a mixed group that brings everyone together, and whatever is the leaning of the teacher is what is going to be taught in the class? So that is an important step as you're moving forward. The co-ops I've been part of have all been Christian, where you sign a statement of faith, and it's understood that what's being taught is from a biblical worldview. So everyone knows what to expect. Now, the first one I was a part of was actually a ministry of a church. It was part of a church, and you actually had to belong to the church in order to go to the co-op. And the reason that is so that we all knew that we would be coming from the same viewpoint. Like, if we all attended this one church and that church had a statement of faith and we agreed to the statement of faith, that meant that we were all coming from the same perspective on things. You don't have to do that. The one I'm at now, we don't belong to it. We meet in a church, but we don't belong to that church. We do have a statement of faith, but people have different viewpoints on certain things, but we come together and we know that we're teaching from a biblical worldview. So you have to think about, it's a lot to think about some of those things and how you want to move forward with that. Now, if you're just meeting with your pal down the street, it's just the two of you and you know each other, you don't really have to go into all of that. But if it's a wider group, for a community group and people you're going to be reaching out to and bringing in, it really might be something you want to think about. So as you're thinking about your group, will you use a public space? Will you meet in your house? Will you meet at the park? Will you meet at the rec center? Will you meet at a church? Will you meet at a school? I don't know. Maybe there's a Christian school that lets you use your space on the off hours or something. In that case, you will need to have an agreement with, if you're going to a public space or a church, something like that, or even a business, you're going to need to have an agreement with the people whose space you are using. It could be written, it could be verbal, however you choose to do it. But that's another thing to think about. The space needs to decide, the people who own the space need to decide what they're comfortable with you doing, what they're comfortable with you having access to. They need to lay down rules for you. And then you as a group need to agree to that and say, well, in order for us to function, this is the type of things we need access to. So you kind of need to meet together and make that discussion. My group actually has a verbal agreement. We have a really good working relationship with our church. And we always make it our purpose to value the space that we're in, leave it better than when we left, take good care of it. And if something unfortunately should happen, that we break something or whatever, we immediately reach out to them and say, hey, this happened. And we offer to pay to fix it if it's something that we should fix. So it's being responsible in that way with the space that you use, taking ownership of it, taking care of it, and being thankful that you're given that place to meet in. So there are churches who charge, they can choose the fee. If they want you to pay it all, if they want you to pay a little, if they want you to pay a lot, if they're just happy with you cleaning their space, and that's how you pay them. So there's lots of different ways you can negotiate with churches. My co-op, we clean. We do some cleaning for the church, and we pay some. It's not exorbitant, but we clean. So it's like this halvesy kind of a thing. We also take really good care of it. About a third of us who attend the co-op go to the church. So, it's our home, and so we want to take care of it. So when you don't own the place or people don't belong to the building that you're attending in, sometimes it's harder to care about the space. So those are things that you guys have to work out with the people that you're going to be working with as far as using their space. When you start to do those types of things, you need to think about insurance. And all the people who are in the co-op need to have clearances. Everyone knows this. If you're a rec league, if you coach rec league, anything, you need to have clearances, right? Along with your concussion training. It's everywhere. If you're going to be working in Sunday school, you need to have your clearances. Well, also now, if you're going to be having a co-op where a bunch of people are coming together to teach other people's children, and you're in a public space, it's not your home, then you need to have clearances. Now, if you're in your home, obviously you wouldn't need to have clearances. It's just 2 or 3 of you meeting. That's a different story. But if you do have a bunch of people coming together, that's something you're going to need to handle. So if you have a large group also, you're going to need to make a definitive plan. We're going to meet on this day, at this time, and this is what we're going to do. We're offering 3 classes, each an hour. Or we're going to offer 6 classes, and we're going to have lunch in the middle of the day. Or, we're going to meet in the afternoon. Or whatever it is you want to do, you need to make a plan. And then there needs to be attendance expectations. So when you are just meeting with your pal, whenever you feel like it, you can just be like, hey, we're sick. Can we just do this next time? Yeah, sure, no problem. Well, it's different when you have a big group. So you need to talk about attendance expectations and what it is that, how it is that you want people to handle when they're sick. So I'm just going to go through some information that is in our booklet. We get booklets every year, and they have information for people, new people mostly, because the rest of us have been there forever, know the information, but it's good things to think about if you're looking to start a co-op and just get your brain churning a little bit. We've had, like I said, 25 years of experience, so there's reasons these things are in the booklet. So anyway, it lists the steering team and like what they're in charge of, the different members are in charge of. You know, there's registration and rosters, websites, emailing, being the church liaison, new families, who new families reach out to, who tears down, who sets up, who's the sick call person, who builds the schedule, who handles the money, who takes care of the clearances. We have a supply cart where we have all kinds of art supplies and stuff. Who's going to make sure that that is well stocked? They also have obviously phone numbers listed so you can reach out to people as you need to. We do have announcements before co-op starts so people can get together and get ready for the day. And we start with a devotion. Sick call policy, how are you going to handle that? How are you going to handle security? Snow days. Do you need technology like TVs, DVDs, HDMI, laptop hookups? We do a gym class at Spooky Nook, which is a big sports complex down the road. So we have someone who organizes a gym class there. Do you want something like that? Do you want to have a field trip policy? Do you have a clothing policy? Is there a certain way that you expect people to come attired or avoid being attired in a certain way? If there's supplies you need for your class, can you get reimbursed for it? Copies, if you need to make lots of copies for your class, how does that get handled? Babysitting, like say you're a mom and you babysit for a living, like you bring children into your home while you're homeschooling your children. Can you bring those children to co-op? It's an important question. What if you have a child that's not homeschooled but is in another schooling situation and their school's canceled for the day, but you still have co-op? Are you allowed to bring children in that situation? So what happens? There's a lot of things to think about. We have a family night at the end of the year where we celebrate what has been learned and what has been done. We have a display with lots of stuff out in the lobby, and then we have a little show. People do songs and games and presentations, and we have a slideshow, and we have snack together, and it's a wonderful way to close out the year, rejoice in what we've done. We bring in our grandparents, we bring in our aunts and uncles and our cousins and whatever, and they come. Sometimes they're in co-op together anyway, but they come together, and we take note of all the good things that have happened over the year. So that's a really good thing to do. How are you going to handle registering? How are you going to handle building your schedule for what classes you're going to have and what grades, what grade groupings? Our co-op does not have one class per grade. We group them 2 classes per grade. So you have, pre-K and K together, first and second, third and fourth, fifth and sixth, that type of thing, and with our junior highs all together and our senior highs all together. So do you want to set it up like that? Or do you want a class for every single grade? Or do you want it to be elementary and high school because you're just starting out and that's what you have? That's great. You can do any of it. You can teach K through 6 in one big group. You can do multi-generational learning like that. You can do it too for older kids. So there's lots of different opportunities here. And so it really takes a little bit of thinking how you want to handle it. Classroom related issues you might want to think about, like do people need to clean up? Are you responsible for cleaning up at the end of the day? What about supplies? I talked about the supply cart. What about expectations for homework, for having your work done when you come in? What about if there's issues with how a child is behaving? How are you going to handle that? Or what if there's disagreements between 2 moms? How are you going to handle that? We have all that stuff in our little policy guide here. It talks about, all the things that we do are scripturally based. It talks about, how a teacher is going to handle a child who's disruptive or defiant and how we're going to talk to mom about that and this type of thing. So everyone's aware of that. And if you're agreeing to join the group, you're agreeing to abide by this way of functioning. So, and there's issues between adults too. How are you going to deal with conflict resolution? So as a leader out there, you guys, there will be conflict. Okay, we're people. I had a pastor once preach a sermon and he said, ministry would be great if it wasn't for the people. Just as a joke, because we all have our issues. But we need to be prepared for this because there are going to be things to work through, and it's really important to be full of grace. and an understanding of where we're all coming from. It's good to have a health policy. Some of us feel very comfortable taking our children out, with snotty noses or whatever. We're never going to get out of the house if we don't. And some of us are like, wow, I really wish you would have just stayed home. So you need to have a policy. What are the symptoms or what are the issues where you do not want them coming to co-op? Absolutely not. So, and you need to enforce it. Sometimes that's the hard part. It's easy to come up with a policy. Sometimes it's hard to enforce it. I don't know. I think since COVID, a lot of us are really more willing to stay home and chill, but maybe not. We also have a big roster, gigantic roster with connection information between the families. We have a big schedule. And each class has a teacher and a helper, sometimes more than one helper if it's a large class with lots of small children. So we have a teacher and a helper, and then there's moms who are in the break room. We call it the mom's room. So in our co-op setup, you can set it up however you want, but I'm going to tell you how ours works. In ours, you're expected to teach a class. So every mom teaches something. Every mom helps in something. So you're not responsible for the lesson, but you're there to give help as needed. And then you get a break time. So the break time, we have snacks. So there's a snack schedule. So moms bring in snacks. So we sit in there and we chat and we encourage each other and we pray over each other and we just relax. And sometimes that is like a lifeline to moms. I enjoy it. I'm at a stage now where I don't need it. But there was definitely a season in my life where I needed that time. I needed to be with those moms in that space to have those conversations. So that the mom's room can be a very important part of the way you set up your co-op. Just something to consider. And it's a way to get like a little mom's night out without having to do the night out part and figure out who's going to take care of the kids, right? So it's all taken care of right there. And we do have nursery care, but you can't join the co-op unless you have at least a kindergarten-aged child. So you can't come in and just use the nursery care so you can have time to chat with the moms. So you have to have someone who is school-aged and participating in class. Sarah is asking, can you explain the difference between a co-op and a hybrid academy? So what I understand about a hybrid academy is that they use a university model, is what I'm thinking you're shooting for here, Sarah. Like there's one called Anchor Academy, I think here in Lancaster. They use what I call a university model, what has been explained as that, and you go to class 2 or 3 times a week, and then you're home the other days doing the work from those classes. So it's almost like you're going to college. You know, like when you have college, you have your schedule, and you have class Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 10, or you have class Tuesday, Thursday from 1:30 to 3:30. And I believe it's set up like that. Now, I don't know. I guess you can, I've never participated in one, so I don't know if you can pick and choose what classes you have, or if it's like, oh, you're in 5th grade, you're taking these classes, and this is how it's going. So that is what I'm not really sure about. But what I understand about the whole hybrid idea is that you're in for a few days, and you're home for the days that you're not doing the work. Now, a co-op typically meets 1 day a week, and you that's like the older kids, you meet and you discuss what you need to discuss, and then the teacher gives you assignments for the whole rest of the week, and you come back around with those prepared the following Friday. So our co-op works really well that way. Like, I personally don't feel the need for my kids to be in a class 2 and 3 times a week. They go to and they're high quality classes. They count on your transcript and towards your work. You know, any work that you're doing like that is going to count towards your hours, but it is you can achieve a academic high school class in 1 meetup a week when you have a well-prepared teacher who has assignments planned out for the week, and you work on them on your own. And then she's also accessible if you have questions or if you're confused about an issue. So, Sarah, hopefully that helps you. You can post more comments if you have another question about that. But that is my understanding about the hybrid academy. I would call it a university model school. I guess it doesn't, and I actually don't know if they're considered homeschools because they're not a private school, I guess. So you're welcome. So that's the part I'm not 100% on. So anyway, getting back to the setup of things. So ours was work one, help one, have a week off. No, have an hour off and hang out with the moms. We also have responsibilities for cleaning up at the end of the day that everyone is aware of. We have the nursery and the toddler room, and then we typically have someone who's in charge of making sure that those spaces are all cleaned up and nice after we use them, taking out the dirty diapers and all that sort of thing. So we do have a snack schedule, like I mentioned before. And let's see. Oh, this is we have a fire escape map. So we always make sure that everyone is aware of where your fire escape and exits are. And we do a fire drill. Every year we have a fire drill where we run around and we blow a whistle, and everyone's going to collect everybody up and get them out of the church and lined up in the parking lot. And then we have our little calendar, and what's on there typically is all the days that we have co-op and things like the closing program or mom's night out or the drama performance dates, picnics, things like that. So it's just helpful to keep everybody on the same page as to what is happening when. So as you are thinking about creating your group, it does not have to start with all this stuff. This is a lot of stuff. You can start small. Just start with one mom or start with a few moms. You don't have to have all the policies worked out right away. But if you want to jump into something big, it would be wise to think about all the policies and all the little different parts and intricacies there is in creating a group. It's just good to be prepared so nothing blindsides you and you're like, oh my goodness, I never thought of this. Sometimes that stuff happens anyway, but it is good to be prepared for those types of things. So, I did take a year when COVID happened and co-op got shut down. I actually didn't go back to my co-op right away. I took a year, and another mom and I, two moms and I got together one year, and the next year it was just two of us got together, and we just had our own classes. We did some science, we did some history. We like Apologia Science, so we got their book, we got their little notebooks, and we went through it, and we just did things together. It was fun, and did some crafty things. We had crafty families, so we would come up with crafty things to do, and it was a great way to get together and just build really strong relationships with just a few people. So that was really good, and there was nice flexibility there. And of course, you don't need all this stuff when you're doing something small. But there's benefits to something big too, because you get to connect with different people and more people, and then there's more opportunity for different types of classes. So it's really what you're looking for, what you're desiring, what you want for your family, what your goals are, as to what you choose to join or what you choose to start. So, like I was mentioning, the pros and cons, class quality, quantity, your flexibility, your commitment, what are you willing to commit to, the rules for your group, the laws that the state has, like regarding insurances and clearances and stuff like that, and your overhead. What is it going to cost us to be able to rent this church? So what do we need to charge everybody to be a part of this so that we can cover our costs? So those are things to all think about. Don't be afraid to try it. So if it doesn't fly, it's fine. It's no big deal. You can try it again, or you can try something different. Think about it. I'm trying to get myself away from thinking things as being failures. They're not failures, they're learning opportunities. And actually, if your kids get to see you work through some of these challenging learning opportunities, it's going to help them understand how to handle situations like that in their own lives and, apply that. So whether you handle it well or not, they're watching. No pressure, but it's good to show them, prayer and working through it, and things will be frustrating, and how do you work through the frustrating things? And it's okay. They could be great, and then you can rejoice and praise Jesus, and they can see you doing that too. So it's all a learning experience. Go ahead and jump in. Don't be afraid. Give things a shot. And you know what? If you don't want to start something, but you are looking for a group, again, chaponline.com/resources. There's a list of all kinds of resources there. One of the things is a group search by county. So you can find a group that you would like to be in. And you know what? Again, if you are part of a group or you know of a group that you can't find on that listing, please let us know or ask the leaders of that group to contact us, because we would love to put them on that list. There's a thing that's like get listed as a group or something like that on that page. So we would love to have people there so you can be found, so people can be supported in their homeschooling journeys, because that's why you're creating a group, right? You want to support people in their homeschooling journeys. You want other people to know about you so that they can be supported also. So I hope this is helpful for you. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to comment. I would love to answer them. Or you can write into me on the inbox here on Facebook, or using our contact form at chaponline.com. I am very happy to answer your questions and help you out with that. Or if you want to be a leader and you need a little bit more discussion, I can chat with you about it too. No problem at all. So allow your kids to see you working and planning and praying and coordinating with other people. Because as you listen to Jesus and what he's asking you to do, you are showing them how to follow Christ in all of life, right? This is part of life, and this is life skills, and this is good things. So you're going to be teaching your kids really good things too, as you consider being a leader in a group like this and supporting others around you. So thanks for tuning in today. I look forward to chatting with you again next week. And I do believe next week I'm going to go over some portion of the law, probably portfolios and logs. If you are familiar with Chattin with CHAP, you will know that we have videos from 5 years ago now that we recorded a long time ago. I'm going to be updating a little bit and putting some together into one video instead of two separate. So I'll be doing some law videos here and there. So that's the idea for next week. So looking forward to chatting with you then, and have a great week. Bye now.